Good morning/afternoon/evening, everyone. Imagine waking up one morning and realizing that everything you've been chasing, success, happiness, approval, is actually within your control. Not in the way we usually think, but in a way that frees us from stress, regret, and fear. I want to share with you 11 principles that transformed my life in just one day. Not because they're magical, but because they are timeless, practical, and rooted in a philosophy that has helped people for centuries. 1. Control what you can, ignore what you can't. Most of our suffering comes from worrying about things outside our control. Once I stopped wasting energy on external events and focused on my actions, my peace of mind grew. 2. Perception shapes reality. The way we interpret situations matters more than the situations themselves. When I started seeing challenges as opportunities rather than obstacles, my mindset shifted completely. 3. Emotions are temporary, don't be ruled by them. Anger, sadness, frustration, they all pass. But if we act on them impulsively, we create lasting damage. I learned to observe my emotions, let them settle, and then respond rationally. 4. Memento Mori. Remember, life is short. This isn't a reason to fear death, but a reason to live fully. When I accepted that my time is limited, I stopped wasting it on meaningless worries and started focusing on what truly matters. 5. Discomfort is the price of growth. No one becomes strong by avoiding struggle. Challenges refine us. The moment I embraced discomfort as part of self-improvement, I stopped fearing failure. 6. Be indifferent to praise and criticism. Living for approval is a trap. If you base your worth on others' opinions, you'll always be a prisoner. The only judgment that truly matters is your own integrity. 7. Speak less, do more. Wisdom isn't about talking, it's about living by your values. I realize that actions, not words, define who we are. 8. Every day is a fresh start. The past cannot be changed, and the future isn't promised. What we have is today, so why carry yesterday's regrets into a new day? Peter, what do we have? 9. True wealth is needing less. Happiness isn't about acquiring more, but appreciating what you already have. The moment I learned to detach from material things, I felt a new kind of freedom. 10. Serve others without expecting anything in return. A life centered only on oneself is an empty life. Giving without seeking rewards changed my perspective on what it means to be truly fulfilled. 11. Adversity is a gift. Hardship doesn't break us, it reveals us. Every difficulty I've faced has been my greatest teacher. The moment I stopped resisting life's challenges, I started growing from them. These 11 principles transformed my mindset, not over years, but in just one day. Because understanding them is instant, but living by them is a daily practice. So the question is, will you start today? Thank you. Control is an illusion that most of us spend our lives chasing. We want certainty, predictability, and assurance that things will go exactly as planned. But reality often reminds us that much of what happens around us is beyond our control. The actions of others, the state of the economy, the weather, unexpected losses, these are all things we cannot dictate. Yet, we allow them to dictate our emotions, our moods, and our inner peace. The moment I realized this truth, my entire outlook on life changed. I stopped exhausting myself by trying to manage the uncontrollable and started focusing on the only thing truly within my power, my own actions, choices, and mindset. Every day we face situations that test our patience and resilience. Someone cuts us off in traffic, a co-worker takes credit for our hard work, a friend cancels plans at the last minute. In each of these moments, we have a choice. React impulsively and let frustration take over, or remind ourselves that these events are beyond our control and focus instead on our response. Anger, resentment, and stress arise when we try to control outcomes that are never truly ours to command. But when we shift our attention inward, we find a sense of peace that external circumstances cannot shake. One of the greatest lessons I learned was that controlling my own thoughts and reactions is the ultimate power. It means refusing to let the negativity of others affect my mood. It means not taking things personally when someone is rude or dismissive. It means recognizing that while I cannot stop bad things from happening, I can control how I interpret and respond to them. Life is unpredictable, and fighting against that reality only leads to frustration. But accepting it allows us to move through challenges with grace and resilience. We often believe that happiness is found in controlling outcomes. We set rigid expectations for how our careers should progress, how relationships should unfold, and how life should treat us. When reality deviates from these expectations, we feel disappointed, angry, or defeated. But if we redefine control as managing our own actions rather than external events, we free ourselves from unnecessary suffering. Instead of demanding that life meet our expectations, we can focus on adapting, learning, and making the best choices available to us in any given situation. This mindset also transforms the way we view success and failure. If our definition of success depends on external validation, financial wealth, or the approval of others, we place our sense of fulfillment in something we cannot fully control. However, if we define success as acting with integrity, doing our best, and remaining true to our values, then success is always within reach. No setback, rejection, or disappointment can take it away. True strength comes from focusing on what is within our control: our thoughts, our actions, and our character. When we embrace this truth, we no longer feel like victims of circumstance. Instead, we become active participants in our own lives, finding freedom in the realization that while we cannot control the world, we can always control ourselves. The way we perceive the world determines the way we experience it. Two people can go through the exact same event and walk away with completely different feelings and lessons. One sees it as a tragedy, while the other sees it as an opportunity. This is because reality is not just about what happens to us, but how we interpret it. The mind filters everything we encounter, shaping our emotions, decisions, and outlook on life. When we understand that perception is a choice, we gain the power to reshape our experiences and, in turn, our reality. Most of our suffering does not come from events themselves, but from the way we think about them. If we lose a job, we might perceive it as a devastating failure, believing that we are doomed to struggle and uncertainty. Or we could view it as a new beginning, an opportunity to reinvent ourselves and pursue something better suited to our growth. The facts remain the same: we lost the job, but the meaning we assign to it changes everything. If we convince ourselves that we are victims, we will feel helpless. If we choose to see challenges as stepping stones, we will feel empowered. Our perceptions also influence our relationships. If we assume that people are generally selfish and untrustworthy, we will find evidence to confirm that belief in every interaction. A delayed response to a message will feel like rejection. A simple mistake will seem like a personal attack, and we will distance ourselves from others, reinforcing our own loneliness. But if we choose to believe that most people are doing their best and that misunderstandings happen, we will approach situations with patience and empathy. The same world exists, but our perception determines whether we navigate it with frustration or with peace. Fear and anxiety are often products of distorted perception. We imagine worst-case scenarios, magnify small problems, and anticipate failure before it even happens. A difficult conversation becomes terrifying because we assume it will end badly. A new challenge seems overwhelming because we perceive ourselves as unprepared. But when we change our perspective, fear loses its grip. Instead of assuming the worst, we can choose to see difficulties as chances to grow. Instead of dreading the unknown, we can view it as an adventure. The external world remains the same, but our experience of it changes completely. Perception also shapes our sense of fulfillment. Some people have everything: wealth, success, recognition, yet feel empty because they perceive their achievements as never enough. Others have little but feel deeply content because they focus on what they do have rather than what they lack. Gratitude is a shift in perception. It is choosing to see abundance rather than scarcity, possibilities rather than limitations. By mastering our perception, we gain control over our emotions, reactions, and ultimately our lives. The world is not fixed. It is fluid, shaped by the lens through which we view it. If we learn to see setbacks as lessons, struggles as growth, and challenges as opportunities, we do not just change our thoughts, we change our reality. Emotions come and go like waves in the ocean. They rise, crash, and eventually fade, only to be replaced by another. Yet, in the moment, emotions often feel overwhelming and permanent. When we are angry, it feels as though the anger will last forever. When we are sad, it seems impossible to imagine feeling happy again. But the truth is, emotions are fleeting. They may be intense, but they are never permanent. Understanding this simple fact can change the way we react to challenges, conflicts, and even our own thoughts. Many of our worst decisions come from acting on emotions that later disappear. In a moment of frustration, we say something hurtful that we later regret. In a wave of excitement, we make promises we cannot keep. In a state of fear, we avoid taking risks that could have led to growth. If we could pause and remind ourselves that emotions are temporary, we would respond to situations more wisely. Instead of reacting impulsively, we could observe our emotions, let them pass, and act from a place of clarity. The problem arises when we identify too closely with our emotions. When we feel sad, we say, "I am sad," as if sadness defines us. But emotions are not who we are. They are experiences we go through. Just as the weather changes from storms to sunshine, our emotions shift with time. If we resist them or try to hold on too tightly, we suffer. If we allow them to come and go without attachment, we find peace. This understanding is especially important during difficult times. When life brings pain, grief, or disappointment, it can feel as though the suffering will never end. But no matter how deep the sorrow, time moves forward. What feels unbearable today may seem lighter tomorrow. The mind adapts, the heart heals, and new experiences gradually shift our emotional state. The key is to endure without letting temporary emotions dictate permanent decisions. Happiness, too, is temporary. Many people chase pleasure, believing that if they achieve a certain goal or acquire something they desire, they will be happy forever. But emotions do not work that way. The excitement of success fades. The joy of a new possession wears off. The thrill of a new relationship settles into routine. If we understand that emotions are temporary, we stop chasing fleeting highs and instead seek something deeper. Inner peace, purpose, and acceptance of life as it is. Emotional awareness does not mean suppressing feelings. It means acknowledging them without being controlled by them. When anger arises, we notice it, but we do not let it dictate our actions. When sadness comes, we allow ourselves to feel it, but we do not sink into despair. When joy visits us, we embrace it, knowing that it too will pass. This perspective frees us from emotional turbulence. Instead of being tossed around by every wave of feeling, we become steady, knowing that all emotions, no matter how strong, are only temporary visitors. Memento Mori, meaning remember you must die, is not a morbid reminder of death, but a powerful tool for living fully. It is a call to wake up, to stop delaying what matters, and to embrace life with urgency and purpose. The thought of death often brings fear, yet avoiding it does not change its inevitability. Instead of running from this reality, we can use it as motivation to live with intention. Every second that passes is one we will never get back. The question is, how are we spending the time we have? Most people move through life as if they have unlimited time. They postpone their dreams, assume they will have another chance to say, "I love you," and put off what truly matters. They waste years on grudges, meaningless distractions, and trivial worries. But when we truly reflect on our mortality, priorities shift. Petty arguments lose significance. The approval of others seems far less important. We stop waiting for the right time and start living in the only time we ever truly have, the present moment. Understanding that life is finite gives depth to everything we do. A conversation with a loved one is no longer just small talk, but a moment that may never come again. A sunrise is not just another morning, but a fleeting beauty that we are lucky to witness. When we see life through the lens of impermanence, gratitude naturally follows. Instead of focusing on what we lack, we appreciate what we have while we have it. Nothing is guaranteed, and that makes every experience more precious. This perspective also frees us from fear. Many people hesitate to take risks because they are afraid of failure, embarrassment, or discomfort. But in the end, none of those things matter. If we will all face the same fate, then why let fear stop us from living boldly? Why waste time on self-doubt when we could be learning, growing, and making an impact? When we accept our mortality, we stop being paralyzed by fear and start embracing challenges as part of a meaningful journey. Memento Mori also reminds us to leave something behind. Knowing that life is temporary encourages us to think about our legacy. What do we want to be remembered for? What kind of impact do we want to have? It is not about wealth or status, but about the lives we touch, the kindness we show, and the wisdom we pass on. The knowledge that our time is limited inspires us to contribute, to create, and to ensure that our existence has meaning beyond ourselves. The certainty of death is not meant to depress us, but to wake us up. It is easy to become distracted, to go through the motions, and to assume there will always be more time. But there won't. Every moment is slipping away, and we have a choice: let life pass us by or embrace it fully. When we live with the awareness of our mortality, we do not waste time, we cherish it. The desire for validation is deeply ingrained in human nature. We seek praise to feel worthy, and we fear criticism because it threatens our self-esteem. Yet both praise and criticism are external judgments, shaped by the perceptions, biases, and opinions of others. To be truly free, we must learn to be indifferent to both. This does not mean ignoring feedback or rejecting personal growth, but rather refusing to let the opinions of others dictate our sense of self-worth. Praise feels good, but it is dangerous when we become dependent on it. If we define ourselves by the approval of others, we will constantly chase validation, shaping our actions not by what is right, but by what is popular. The problem with this is that external approval is inconsistent. What pleases one person may disappoint another. A crowd that cheers us today may criticize us tomorrow. If our confidence is built on the shifting sands of public opinion, we will always be at its mercy. Instead of finding fulfillment in external recognition, we must find it in the integrity of our own actions. Criticism, on the other hand, can be painful, but only if we allow it to be. Many people avoid risks, silence their true opinions, or shrink themselves to escape judgment. However, no matter what we do, we will always be criticized. If we try to please everyone, we lose ourselves in the process. If we stand by our values, we may face opposition, but we will live authentically. Criticism only has power over us when we believe it defines us. If we see it as just another opinion, no different from the wind changing direction, it loses its ability to disturb us. The key to indifference toward both praise and criticism is self-awareness. When we know who we are, what we stand for, and what truly matters, external opinions become background noise. If someone praises us, we can accept it with gratitude but without attachment. If someone criticizes us, we can assess whether there is truth in their words. But we do not need to internalize negativity. The goal is to remain steady, neither inflated by compliments nor diminished by judgment. This mindset does not mean ignoring feedback or rejecting growth. Constructive criticism helps us improve, and genuine appreciation can be meaningful. The difference lies in how we process these inputs. We take in what is useful and discard what is not, without letting it control our emotions. When we are indifferent to both praise and criticism, we act with clarity, making decisions based on principles rather than the fluctuating approval of others. By freeing ourselves from the need for validation, we gain true independence. We no longer waste energy worrying about what others think, nor do we seek applause for every achievement. Instead, we focus on what is within our control: our effort, our integrity, and our purpose. In doing so, we cultivate inner stability, unshaken by external voices, and move through life with confidence and peace. Adversity is often seen as something to be avoided, a burden that brings suffering and misfortune. Yet when viewed with the right perspective, adversity is one of life's greatest gifts. It is through struggle that we grow, through challenges that we build resilience, and through hardship that we develop strength of character. Without adversity, there is no progress. Everything that makes a person wise, strong, and capable is forged in the fires of difficulty. Many of the greatest achievements in history were born from adversity. The most successful individuals, the strongest leaders, and the wisest thinkers all faced immense struggles. They did not become great in spite of hardship, but because of it. It was adversity that tested their limits, forced them to adapt, and made them more determined. Without obstacles, they would have remained comfortable, stagnant, and unchallenged. The same applies to everyone. Our struggles are not roadblocks, they are the path itself. When we embrace adversity, we stop seeing it as something unfair or undeserved. Instead, we recognize it as a necessary part of growth. A person who never experiences hardship remains untested. Just as a muscle must be strained to grow stronger, our minds and spirits must endure challenges to develop resilience. Every setback teaches us something valuable. Failure forces us to reflect, adapt, and improve. Rejection pushes us to refine our approach. Pain teaches us endurance and empathy. When we shift our mindset to see adversity as a teacher rather than an enemy, we unlock its true power. Hardship also reveals who we truly are. It strips away illusions and forces us to confront our weaknesses. In comfort, it is easy to believe we are strong, disciplined, and capable. But when adversity strikes, we are tested. Do we give up, or do we push forward? Do we let failure define us, or do we learn from it? Difficult moments expose our true character, giving us the chance to either break or build ourselves into something stronger. Adversity also cultivates gratitude. When life is easy, we take things for granted. We assume health, relationships, and success will always be there. But hardship reminds us of life's fragility. It teaches us to appreciate what we have and to find meaning even in difficult moments. Those who have suffered deeply often develop a greater appreciation for life's simple joys. They understand that happiness is not found in avoiding pain, but in learning to endure and find meaning despite it. The greatest transformation happens not when life is easy, but when it is difficult. Those who embrace adversity with courage and determination emerge stronger, wiser, and more prepared for whatever comes next. Instead of resisting hardship, we should welcome it as a challenge that refines us. Adversity is not a punishment, but a gift, shaping us into the best version of ourselves. The question is not whether we will face difficulties, because we all will, but whether we will use them to grow or let them break us. Adversity is not something to fear or avoid. It is something to embrace. It is the fire that forges resilience, the teacher that imparts wisdom, and the force that shapes us into who we are meant to be. Every challenge we face is an opportunity to grow, to strengthen our character, and to develop the courage to move forward despite difficulties. Life will never be free of hardship, but our perspective determines whether we see obstacles as barriers or as stepping stones. So, the next time adversity knocks on your door, do not shrink from it. Welcome it. Trust that every struggle carries a lesson, every setback fuels progress, and every hardship refines you. Strength is not built in comfort, but in overcoming difficulties. When you look back, you will not regret the challenges you endured. You will be grateful for them. Because in the end, adversity is not what breaks you, it is what makes you.